Hey everyone, and welcome back to Thought Pairing. Today, we're diving deep into a book that stirred up a lot of talk in the personal finance world, Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Mm-hmm.
And joining me today to unpack its key insights and maybe challenge some of our own money beliefs is financial expert Suchi. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Now, for those unfamiliar with the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad shares Kiyosaki's personal experience growing up with two father figures. His own dad, the poor dad, was highly educated,
Right.
but struggled financially. His best friend's dad, the rich dad, was a successful entrepreneur with a completely different outlook on money.
Yeah.
These contrasting views shaped how Kiyosaki approached wealth building. And that's what makes this book so intriguing. Right off the bat, we're confronted with the idea that our traditional beliefs about money might not actually be the best path to financial freedom. So, Suchi, let's start with those contrasting philosophies.
Okay.
What were the key differences between the poor dad and rich dad mindsets?
Well, the poor dad, despite his education, believed in working for money, getting a good job and playing it safe. It's the path many of us are raised to believe is the right one.
Right.
You know, go to school, get a good job, work hard, and you'll be set.
Right, the classic American dream.
Mm-hmm.
But the rich dad had a completely different perspective. He believed in having money work for you, not the other way around. He was all about acquiring assets that generate income.
Right. And this raises a crucial question. How do we shift from that working for money mindset to one where our money is working for us? That's what Kiyosaki sets out to explore throughout the book. And one of the first things he tackles is the distinction between assets and liabilities. It might seem basic, but he really flips the script on how we typically view certain things, especially when it comes to our homes.
Yeah, that's the part that really made me stop and think. Most people, myself included, would consider their house an asset.
Right.
But Kiyosaki argues that might not always be the case.
Exactly. While a house might increase in value over time, it also generates a lot of expenses. Mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance, all taking money out of your pocket each month. In the book, he actually uses a diagram to illustrate this, showing how a house can actually be a liability if it's not generating income. It's a real eye-opener.
It definitely challenges you to reevaluate how you define an asset. And speaking of shifting mindsets, another key concept Kiyosaki emphasizes is minding your own business. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job and starting a company.
Right.
It's more about focusing on building your asset column. What exactly does he mean by that?
It's about shifting your focus from just earning a high income to thinking about what you're doing with that income. Are you using it to acquire assets that generate more income, or are you stuck in that cycle of working just to pay off expenses and liabilities? He uses the example of Ray Kroc, the founder of McDonald's. You'd think he was in the hamburger business, but Kiyosaki points out that Kroc's real focus was on acquiring a land under each McDonald's franchise. That real estate became his core asset.
That's such a clever example, and it really highlights the importance of thinking beyond your immediate job or business and looking for ways to build long-term wealth. It makes you wonder, what are the assets that I could be focusing on right now?
Absolutely. And that leads us to another fascinating concept. Kiyosaki dives into the power of corporations. Now, I know we don't want to get bogged down in tax law here.
Right, we'll try to keep it light.
But Kiyosaki's point is that the wealthy understand how to use corporations to their advantage when it comes to taxes. He argues that corporations can offer a way to reduce your tax burden, legally, of course. He even goes so far as to say that the rich don't actually pay taxes in the same way that the average person does.
That's a pretty bold statement. He definitely makes you want to learn more about the tax system and how it really works.
Exactly. It's about financial literacy. He's encouraging us to question the system and find ways to work within it to achieve financial freedom. And that ties into another key concept he emphasizes. The idea of inventing money or seeing opportunities where others don't. He shares a story about buying a foreclosed house for a steal only $20,000 and quickly flipping it for $60,000. Now, he's not saying this is a get-rich-quick scheme.
It's more about developing the financial intelligence to recognize opportunities and understand how money works.
Right. It's about being able to spot those deals, evaluate the risks, and make smart decisions that can potentially generate wealth.
And of course, he acknowledges that even with financial literacy, there can be obstacles. He outlines 5 main reasons why even financially savvy people might struggle: fear, cynicism, laziness, bad habits, and arrogance. Let's unpack those a bit, starting with fear. I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially when it comes to money.
Fear of losing money, fear of making the wrong decisions, it can be paralyzing. Kiyosaki shares a story about a friend who was terrified of investing in real estate because he had this deep-seated fear of losing everything. He eventually helped his friend overcome that fear, but it took time and a lot of encouragement.
And then there's cynicism, that voice in your head that says, that'll never work, or it's too good to be true.
Cynicism can blind us to opportunities and keep us trapped in a limited mindset. Kiyosaki argues that we need to recognize those cynical thoughts and challenge them. Ask ourselves, what if it does work? What if I can achieve this?
And let's not forget laziness. It's easy to stay in our comfort zones and let things stay the same, even if we're not happy with our financial situation. But building wealth takes effort, consistency, and sometimes stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Absolutely. It's about being proactive and actively seeking out opportunities, not just waiting for them to come to us. And then there are bad habits: overspending, not tracking our finances, racking up debt. These can sabotage our efforts to build wealth, no matter how much we earn.
It's so true. And finally, there's arrogance. We might think we know it all and refuse to learn new things, which can prevent us from seeking out advice from those who might be more experienced or knowledgeable than us.
We need to stay open to learning and be willing to admit when we don't know something. Seeking guidance from mentors and experts can be incredibly valuable in our financial journals.
So how do we overcome these obstacles and start building that asset column? Well, in Chapter 9, Kiyosaki offers some specific strategies, and I think they're worth diving into.
Let's do it.
All right, first up, he talks about finding mentors and learning from their experiences. Who are the rich dads in your life? The people who can guide you and share their wisdom.
It's so important to surround yourself with people who are already successful in the areas where you want to grow. Their experience and insights can be invaluable.
He then emphasizes the importance of mastering a formula, like buying foreclosures as he did. And then, once you've got that down, moving on to learn a new one. It's about constantly expanding your financial toolkit.
It's that concept of lifelong learning, of not being afraid to step outside of your comfort zone to acquire new skills and knowledge.
And of course, he reiterates the power of paying yourself first. This is all about developing self-discipline and prioritizing your financial future.
He encourages you to treat your savings and investments as a non-negotiable expense, putting that money aside for your asset column before you pay your bills.
Then there's building a strong team of advisors, brokers, attorneys, accountants, the people who can guide you and help you make informed financial decisions.
It's a reminder that you don't have to do everything yourself. Leveraging the expertise of others can be a huge advantage when it comes to building wealth.
And this next one is a bit cheeky, but he talks about learning to be an Indian giver. And I have to admit, I was a bit confused by this concept at first.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Before we jumped into the comments, we were discussing Kiyosaki's 10 steps to building financial freedom. Let's pick up with number 7. Be an Indian giver. What does that mean exactly? It sounds a bit odd, to say the least.
Right, definitely caught my attention. Essentially, he's talking about the art of the deal. Finding ways to structure agreements where you get something back, even when it seems like you're giving something away.
Oh.
It's about being savvy and creating win-win situations.
He actually uses a historical example to illustrate this point. He talks about how the first European settlers were sometimes confused by Native American customs. For example, a settler might be cold, so a Native American would offer a blanket. Later, they'd ask for the blanket back, and the settler, thinking it was a gift, would be offended. But it was never meant as a permanent gift. It was a temporary exchange of value.
So Kiyosaki's point is that we should always be looking for ways to gain something in return, even in seemingly generous acts. It's about being strategic and creating mutually beneficial arrangements.
Exactly. He even shares a personal anecdote about offering a free stay at a condominium he owned in exchange for a referral to a good property manager. He ended up getting a fantastic property manager and filled his condo during the off-season. It's a clever example of how thinking outside the box can lead to unexpected benefits.
That's brilliant. It really highlights the importance of creativity and resourcefulness when it comes to building wealth. Okay, moving on to step 8. Kiyosaki talks about overcoming fear of rejection. This is something I think many people struggle with, particularly when it comes to finances. What are some of his key insights on this?
He emphasizes the importance of taking action even if there's a chance of being rejected. It's about making offers, seeking out opportunities, and not letting fear paralyze you. He even admits that he used to be terrified of hearing the word no, but he learned that rejection is just part of the process, and the more you put yourself out there, the more likely you are to find success.
He tells a great story about buying a piece of vacant land for $9,000. He immediately offered it to someone else for $25,000, and they bought it. He then took that profit and bought a bigger property. It just shows that sometimes taking a chance can lead to amazing results.
Absolutely. It's about not letting fear dictate your actions and being willing to step outside of your comfort zone. Now, step 9, learn to read financial statements. Might sound a bit dry, but it's crucial for anyone serious about building wealth.
This is where the real financial education comes in, right?
Exactly. Kiyosaki stresses that it's not enough to just know the difference between an asset and a liability. You need to be able to understand financial statements, balance sheets, income statements, cash flow statements. These documents provide a snapshot of a company's financial health, and being able to interpret them is essential for making informed investment decisions.
He really emphasizes the importance of being financially literate and not relying solely on others to manage your money.
That's right. He encourages readers to take classes, read books, talk to financial advisors, and invest in their financial education. It's about empowering yourself with the knowledge and skills to make smart decisions with your money.
And finally, we come to step 10, focus. This one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm curious to hear Kiyosaki's perspective on it.
He advises, don't be a jack of all trades. Find what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and focus your energy there. He uses the example of buying a mini storage facility simply because he understood the business and could focus on managing it well.
It's about finding your niche and becoming an expert in that area.
Exactly. He compares it to playing golf. You don't try to master every club at once. You focus on one until you've got it down. It's the same with building wealth. Find your strength and hone it.
These 10 steps offer a practical roadmap for anyone seeking to achieve financial freedom. But as we've discussed, Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't just about accumulating wealth. It's also about aligning your financial goals with your values and passions.
Absolutely. It's about finding fulfillment and meaning in your life, and that often involves pursuing work that you genuinely enjoy.
He talks about how his poor dad, despite having a successful career, wasn't truly happy because he was stuck in a job he didn't love.
It's a powerful reminder that money isn't the only measure of success. It's about finding work that aligns with your passions and purpose.
He even encourages readers to think about what they want to be when they grow up, even if they're already adults.
Yeah.
It's never too late to reassess your goals and make changes to align your career with your true calling.
And that leads us back to the cash flow quadrant, which he explores in detail in another book. It's a framework for understanding the different ways people earn money.
Right, he breaks it down into 4 quadrants: employees, self-employed individuals, business owners, and investors.
And he suggests that those who achieve true financial freedom often operate from the business owner or investor quadrants. They've created systems and assets that generate passive income, so they're not solely reliant on trading their time for money.
This idea of passive income is really intriguing. It's about building wealth that works for you, even while you're sleeping, traveling, or pursuing your passions.
Exactly. It's about creating financial freedom and flexibility in your life.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad has certainly sparked a lot of debate with its unconventional views on money and success. But even those who criticize it can't deny its impact on the personal finance world. What are your thoughts on some of the book's more controversial claims?
Well, one of the biggest criticisms is that Kiyosaki seems to promote a negative view of traditional employment. He seems to suggest that being an employee is a trap, a path to mediocrity. But I think his point is more nuanced than that.
So it's not necessarily about demonizing employment, but rather encouraging people to explore alternative paths to wealth building.
Exactly. He's advocating for financial literacy regardless of your profession. He wants people to understand that even if they're working a traditional 9-to-5 job, they can still apply the principles of Rich Dad, Poor Dad to build wealth. It's about making smart financial decisions, investing wisely, and building assets, even within the context of a traditional job.
Another controversial statement he makes is that savers are losers. This seems to fly in the face of conventional financial wisdom, which often emphasizes the importance of saving.
His argument is that traditional savings accounts, with their low interest rates, don't keep pace with inflation. In essence, your money is losing value over time if it's just sitting in a savings account. He advocates for investing your money in assets that generate higher returns.
But isn't investing inherently risky? What about the importance of having a financial safety net?
Kiyosaki isn't suggesting that you throw caution to the wind and invest every penny you have. He emphasizes the importance of educating yourself, understanding different investment vehicles, and managing risk. He also talks about diversifying your investments to spread the risk.
So it's not about completely abandoning the idea of saving, but rather being more strategic with your money and finding ways to make it grow. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, understanding that there are multiple paths to financial success.
Precisely. And another one of his controversial statements that caused quite a stir is, your house is not an asset.
Yes, that one definitely raised a lot of eyebrows. How do you interpret that statement in light of the fact that for many people, their home is their biggest investment?
He's challenging the conventional belief that your home is automatically your most valuable asset. As we discussed earlier, he argues that a house can actually be a liability if it's not generating income and is constantly draining your cash flow through expenses like mortgage payments, property taxes, and maintenance.
But for many people, owning a home provides a sense of security and stability that renting can't match. How do you reconcile that with Kiyosaki's perspective?
I think it's important to consider your individual circumstances and financial goals. For some, owning a home might be a sound investment, especially if they plan to live there long-term and build equity. For others, it might make more sense to rent and invest their money in income-generating assets. There's no one-size-fits-all answer.
So it's about making informed decisions based on your own unique financial situation and goals, not blindly accepting conventional wisdom.
Exactly. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is meant to be a thought-provoking guide, not a set of rigid rules. It's about challenging your assumptions and finding what works best for you.
Now, even with the controversies, it's undeniable that Rich Dad, Poor Dad has had a significant impact on the world of personal finance. It sold millions of copies worldwide and sparked countless conversations about money and wealth building.
Absolutely. Its influence is undeniable. It's challenged traditional financial advice and empowered countless individuals to take control of their financial futures.
It's encouraged people to think differently about money, to view themselves as investors, and to seek out opportunities beyond traditional employment.
It's fostered a spirit of entrepreneurship and inspired a generation to pursue financial freedom on their own terms. It's given people permission to dream bigger and to believe that financial success is attainable regardless of their background or current circumstances.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad may not be a perfect financial guide, and some of its claims might be debatable, but its impact on the way we think about money is undeniable. It's a book that pushes us to question the status quo and to explore alternative paths to wealth creation.
It's a book that sparks conversations, challenges assumptions, and encourages us to take a more proactive approach to building wealth. It's about empowering yourself with the knowledge and mindset to become the master of your own financial destiny.
And as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear what's resonated most with you personally from Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
For me, it's the emphasis on mindset. Kiyosaki highlights the importance of believing in yourself and your ability to achieve financial success. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset and recognizing that there are unlimited opportunities for those who are willing to seek them out.
That's a powerful message. It reminds us that our beliefs about money can either limit us or empower us. We have the power to choose our mindset and to create a reality that aligns with our financial goals and aspirations.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership of our financial futures and not letting limiting beliefs hold us back.
Well said, Suchi. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful, and I'm excited to continue the conversation in our final segment.
Me too.
We'll be back soon to explore some of the book's key takeaways and discuss how its principles can be applied to our lives today. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Thought Pairing. We're wrapping up our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, with a look at some of the key takeaways and how we can apply these principles in our own lives. Suchi, as we've been discussing, Kiyosaki's book challenges a lot of conventional thinking about money. What do you think is the most important message he wants readers to walk away with?
I think it's the importance of financial literacy. Throughout the book, Kiyosaki emphasizes the need to understand how money works, how to make it work for you, and how to break free from that cycle of working just to pay bills. He wants to empower people to take control of their financial futures.
He really stresses that financial education is an ongoing journey, not a one-time event. It's about constantly learning, adapting, and refining your financial strategies.
Exactly. And it's never too early or too late to start. Whether you're just beginning your career or nearing retirement, there's always something new to learn about managing your finances.
So let's talk about action steps. What are some concrete things our viewers can do today to start building their financial intelligence and moving towards those Rich Dad principles?
Well, first, I'd say take an honest look at your current financial situation. Where are you spending your money? Do you have a budget? Are you tracking your expenses? Understanding where your money is going is the first step to gaining control.
It's about awareness.
Right.
Sometimes we can be on autopilot with our spending, not really paying attention to where it's all going.
Absolutely. Once you have a clear picture of your spending habits, you can start making adjustments. Look for areas where you might be able to cut back, and then redirect that money towards savings or investments.
Kiyosaki talks a lot about the importance of acquiring assets. What are some examples of assets that everyday people could consider?
It depends on your individual circumstances and risk tolerance, but some common examples include real estate. Though as we discussed, it's important to view real estate through the lens of cash flow. Stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and even businesses. The key is to find assets that align with your financial goals and that have the potential to generate passive income.
He also emphasizes the power of leverage, using debt strategically to acquire assets that will appreciate in value or generate income. But of course, this needs to be done responsibly and with careful planning.
Yes, leverage can be a powerful tool for wealth building, but it also comes with risks. It's essential to educate yourself about different types of debt, interest rates, and the potential downsides before taking on any significant debt.
Another key theme in Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the importance of mindset. Kiyosaki talks about the need to overcome fear, cynicism, and limiting beliefs that can hold us back from achieving financial success.
He encourages readers to develop an abundance mindset, believing that there are unlimited opportunities out there and that financial freedom is achievable for anyone who is willing to put in the effort.
It's about shifting our perspective from, I can't afford that, to, how can I make that happen?
Exactly. It's about believing in your ability to create wealth and to find creative solutions to financial challenges.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what's the one piece of advice you'd leave our viewers with?
Start today. Don't wait for the perfect moment or until you feel completely ready. Take one small step today towards improving your financial literacy, building your asset column, or shifting your mindset. Every journey begins with a single step.
Suchi, this has been an incredibly insightful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our viewers, we hope this deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad has inspired you to think differently about money and to take control of your financial future. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Thought Pairing for more deep dives into books and ideas that can transform your life. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.